Welcome to Football Scientific. I am Aaron Sauer, writer for footballanalysis1.com, and I cover the Cincinnati Bengals of the NFL. Look out for my fantasy draft guide for NFL quarterbacks coming out the next few days. I gotta write it still, so it's still coming out probably. Okay, all right. Also, I write for CFL News Hub. I cover the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Today I did release a preview of the Tiger Cats matchup tomorrow against the Calgary Stampeders, their season opener. I showed the pathway needed by Hamilton to win that game for once and go 1-0 rather than 0-1 and get a win in Calgary. It's going to be a tough matchup with Vernon Adams Jr. on the other side going against Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, but it should be a fun game. Also, on Football Sunday, we covered the UFL, the NAL, the IFL, and the ELF, European League of Football. And joining me is, off suspension, Tyler the Tiger.
Hey, I'm going to try to do better today. Sorry, yesterday I took the camera. I got pretty excited about some stuff, and I just went nuts and knocked the camera over. And I really am sorry about it. I'm sorry about that, okay? I'm sorry about that. Oh.
Did you just kiss me, Tyler the Tiger?
I did. I'm sorry.
All right. Your apologies accepted. So, what we're going to do today is this Predict-a-Plooza Friday. And we're going to go through all the predictions for this weekend of football. We are not going to talk about the NAL. Their playoff situation's not been released yet. It's not on the NAL website. It's not on the NAL YouTube channel. No one knows what the NAL is going to do for playoffs, including the NAL, I'm sure. I do know this weekend the Shreveport Rougarou played the Dallas Force. They may have already played them. I didn't see anything. We'll see. I guess. I don't know. All right, so we're not covering the NAL today. We don't know what's going on with them. We're going to go give you a preview and predictions for the CFL, the IFL, the ELF, and the UFL playoffs. Okay, so here we go. First, a game last night I had predicted on a short from Panama City Beach. That I thought the Saskatchewan Roughriders would defeat the Ottawa Redblacks. I predicted 31-24. Okay, came out. They did play last night. Saskatchewan Roughriders threw the ball for 277 yards and 2 touchdowns while throwing 1 interception with Trevor Harris throwing an interception. They ran the ball for 89 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and they sacked Ottawa's quarterback Drew Brown 4 times. Ottawa Redblacks came out, and Drew Brown did throw the ball impressively. 413 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay, they did have 30 rushing yards. So in my mind, I'm saying, they didn't have any turnovers. Okay, they had only 30 rushing yards though. And my first indicator of how to predict the wins is running the ball is more important than passing the ball. Okay, it's number 1 right there. All right, there. Running the ball, getting yards on the ground is more important than passing yards. It's going to get you to win quicker. Okay, they did have 0 interceptions. They did have 0 fumbles. They did score some touchdowns, but they got outrushed. They got outrushed by Saskatchewan, 89-30. Okay, not what. And even though Saskatchewan turned the ball over, usually that's a leveling factor. Turn the ball over, it's usually a leveling factor. Okay, because they did throw an interception. All right, it didn't matter. The 4 sacks cancel out the interception. 89 yards defeated a 30 rushing yards. They canceled the 413 passing yards. Honestly, so Saskatchewan run that game 31-26, which is amazingly close to my prediction. Honestly. They're 1-0. Red Blacks are 0-1. Let's go. Let's go Saskatchewan. Boom. I like to see the East teams lose when it's not the Tiger Cats. We need them to lose. Okay. All right. Boom. Now, that was the only game played so far this weekend. Okay. CFL matchup. Any games played so far this weekend. The rest they're starting tonight. You're really amping up. So, we're covering this video. We may bleed a little bit into the game before it gets loaded, but we're going to try our best to beat the clock. Beat the clock. Okay, all right, so first in the CFL tonight, Friday, June 6th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we got the Toronto Argonauts traveling to Montreal Alouettes. Toronto Argonauts, Montreal Alouettes. Once again, the running game is going to determine the outcome of this game. I do think Montreal is now going into a rebuild mode, so watch out for that. They dumped a lot of personnel. They dumped Cody Farrar, quarterback, going Davis Alexander. Their back quarterback is the starting quarterback. They think he's going to be equally good to Cody Farrar. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. But their defense has carried them for a long time, picking up interceptions for touchdowns and fumbles, so they could cancel out any negative parts of the offense missing. Although William Stanback leaving they cut him, and that's a big deal. That's maybe a big deal. Winning the run game is how you win games. But Toronto did cut Kadeem Carey, so it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's tonight, 7:30. I have Toronto winning this game 28-18. 28-18. I think Toronto will dominate in the ground game. They don't have Chad Kelly. They will have Nick Arbuckle. I think the running game makes a difference in this game, as it does every game. I have Toronto win this game 28-18, which seems like a lot. Okay, that's total points, 46 points. DraftKings does not agree with me. We very rarely disagree with DraftKings, but this time DraftKings does not agree with me. They have the Alouettes as a 5.5-point favorite, hence Toronto's underdog by 5.5 points. They have it over and under at 48.5, which could be accurate. Here's what I say. If I was betting this game, which I don't gamble, and you shouldn't gamble I like to use this as a standard for my prediction to see if I'm really messing up or if we're right there. Usually we're right about there. Okay. They have, Toronto losing this game by 5.5 points. Alouettes just didn't look like the same team they've been against Ottawa Red Blacks. They played them twice. It's hard to say how they really looked, and they didn't look that great. So they may come out and crush. That's the CFL's first week, but I was right. Saskatchewan, Ottawa. I think I'm right here again. Toronto Argonauts will win the game. Defending Grey Cup champions win the game 28-18. Okay. If I was betting on this game, I would take the Argonauts and the points, because even if they don't win, if they get within 5.5 points, they win. You win. Okay? And then I got the under going. Almost 50 points is a lot for those two teams. They both have a decent defense. I just don't think it's going to be a shootout like that. Okay? All right. Saturday, June 7th, 7 p.m. Eastern. I did a preview article on this on CFL News Sub this afternoon. Check it out. Has the depth charts on there and everything. Has my prediction. Here's my prediction. Okay, Hamilton Ticats and Calgary Stampeders. Bo Levi Mitchell comes home again. We did with Calgary last year and lost 24-32. Sad pace. Their defense was not good against Calgary. Okay, hopefully they got the defense fixed a little bit. Hopefully they can run the ball. That's the difference maker. Obviously, that's going to win you the game or not win you the game. So we'll see how it goes. Usually Scott Milanovic likes to run the ball and do play action off of it. I think that's going to be a recipe for winning it, but they have to do it. Okay, so with that in mind, I have the Hamilton Ticats defeating the Calgary Stampeders in a shootout. So I do think Vernon Adams Jr. for Calgary is going to put some numbers up and put some touchdowns up. I also think he's going to throw 2 interceptions. Mental note. Okay, I have the Hamilton Ticats winning the game 35-31 on the road. Big road win to start off the season. Boop. Total points 66 points. I got this 66 points. Okay. DraftKings agrees with me. Okay. They have Hamilton Ticats as a 2.5-point favorite. Hence Calgary's 2.5-point underdog. They got the over and under at 53.5 points. This matches up pretty well what I thought about the game. If I was going to bet on this, which I'm not going to, but if I was going to, I would take Hamilton Ticats on the money line. I think they're going to win. I just don't know. I don't know how much. Okay. And there's not enough incentive to go with the points. I don't believe. It's just not enough incentive to go with the points. So I'm going money line, Hamilton Ticats, and I'm going over 66. That's probably the real money makers going over on that. It's tough for CFL teams to go over in the first week of the season. But looking back, Saskatchewan did that. Saskatchewan and Ottawa did that. So I do have Toronto and Montreal going under because they have strong defenses. Ticats, Calgary tend to have weak defenses, although Toronto or Hamilton put a lot of time and effort into fixing that defense. We'll see if it works out for them. It's a tough matchup. Calgary Sanders will be tough on offense. They'll be very similar to Hamilton Tiger Cats. Okay, last CFL game for this weekend, Saturday, June 7th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Most of these can be seen on CFL Plus in the United States and internationally. Okay, I know the Hamilton Tiger Cats one's going to be on TSN. It's less CTV, Canada TV. But I'm going to watch it on CFL Plus tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to watch the Toronto game tonight. So tomorrow night, June 7th, 10 p.m. Eastern, we got the Edmonton Elks traveling to the BC Lions. Okay, Edmonton Elks, they played BC last week and they beat them by 1 point, but that was without really any starters for BC playing. Edmonton got crushed the week before by somebody out west. Calgary, I think. So I'm out to lunch on Edmonton. They made a lot of defensive improvements too. I just don't think it's going to be enough. So I have this game going. How I predict the game will go, I have BC Lions winning this game 31-18. I think they have an advantage at every position on the field. I don't see Edmonton winning this game unless BC Lions come out and Nathan Rourke throws a bunch of interceptions, okay? Which I don't think he'll do. So I have BC Lions winning at home 31-18. That's going to be a total number of points of 49 points, okay? Which is eerily close to DraftKings. I didn't check DraftKings first, honestly. I checked DraftKings after I made my prediction. They have the BC Lions winning by 5.5 points, and Edmonton's at a 5.5 point underdog, and they got the over/under at 49.5 points. I have 12.49. Once again, CFL first week it's hard to go over, but all we've seen is over so far. I think this one will go. I think BC Lions offense is much better than Edmonton. I think they'll put up some points, and I think they'll have to. I think Edmonton will force some turnovers and force BC Lions to play the whole game. They play pretty good football. I do have an under though. If I was going to bet on this, I go money line BC Lions, and they're going to win the game. I don't know by how much. And if I was going to go over under, I'd go under, but that's not a strong under. It's like a half point under. So we'll see. I will go BC Lions. Okay, UFL Sunday. They play 2 games. We're in the playoffs in the UFL, hence no UFL power rankings. Okay, we will have CFL power rankings next week, so it'll take the place of the UFL. UFL first Sunday, June 8th at 3 p.m. on ABC. We got the Michigan Panthers taking on the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL Conference Championship game. I believe Birmingham's going to win this game. I think it's going to be another week, like last year's USL Conference Championship game. Michigan will jump out early. Bryce Perkins will light it up. Michigan Panthers stopped the run pretty well, but Birmingham has been passing the ball. So, I mean, it's an irrelevant stat, I believe. I saw someone highlight that stat. I think it's an irrelevant stat. I do think Michigan will jump up early. And I think Birmingham will run back and win the game in the second half. I have Birmingham Stallions winning the USFL Conference Championship game for the second year in a row, 38-34 over Michigan. It should be a shootout. I do expect Michigan to jump out early and Birmingham to scream back at the end and win the game like last year. I think that's a good storyline for the UFL. That's why I think it'll happen. I'm not saying it's fixed, although I am saying that. So, 38-34, Birmingham over Michigan. Lots of points scored. I think it's important to have lots of points scored for the health of the league. Okay. DraftKings agrees with me. They probably know something that I know. Okay. It's fixed. But they have Birmingham Stallions as a 1.5 point favorite. Earlier in the week they had them as an underdog, but they understood the mission here. The UFO mission. So to avoid losing money, they said Birmingham Stallions are a 1.5 point favorite, making Michigan Panthers a 1.5 point underdog. They did favor Michigan earlier in the week. This is basically a pick'em game right now. Over under 46.5. Why is that important? I highlight it's a pick'em game because that levels the betting line. So you're not gonna make any money off this game. Pretty much, it took away all the chance of making money off this game because the The DraftKings saw what's happening here. They're like, oh, Birmingham's going to win. And if Michigan wins, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a small amount of money changing hands. It's going to be a close game on purpose. So they have Birmingham winning the game by 1.5 points. I take the money line. Yeah, Birmingham's going to win. They've never lost to the Michigan Panthers. Not in the last 5 years. I saw someone saying like 1983 they did. 1983? Who cares? It's over 40 years ago, bro. It's not even in the same league. Okay? Alright. So Birmingham Stallions, I got them winning 38-34, total point 72. DraftKings has Birmingham Stallions a 1.5 point favorite. I say take the money line on that. And they have over under at 46.5. I think if that's true, it's going to be a pretty lame USFL Conference Championship game. I think it's going to go higher than that, so I got the over. Okay. Of course, I've been wrong before. Very rarely, though. Very rarely. Okay. And the IFL Conference Championship game also on Sunday at 6 p.m. on Fox. So that first game's on ABC, the second one's on Fox. It's going to be the XFL Conference Championship game between the DC Defenders traveling to the St. Louis Battlehawks. I also believe the league wants the Battlehawks to finally win one of these championship games and go to the UFL Championship and win in St. Louis so they can keep their fans in St. Louis happy and they keep the league afloat. Literally afloat, okay? So I think Battlehawks are coming in this game. They know they're going to win. DC knows they're going to win. DC's supposed to put on a good show. We'll see what happens. So with that in mind, DC runs the ball well. St. Louis has the best rushing defense. DC throws the ball decent. St. Louis Battlehawks throw the ball decent. Although they don't put the ball out well. Battlehawks have the best rushing offense in the league. DC Defenders stop the run poorly. But they do pass rush well, which is irrelevant. It's hard to say. Everything kind of washes out. So I have this being a bit of a shootout. I have St. Louis Battlehawks winning the game. It'd be hard to get bet against the St. Louis Battlehawks knowing the situation the league is in. Okay. So knowing the context of this game, St. Louis Battlehawks are going to win the game. Almost guarantee it. Okay, they're going to win 31-27 is my prediction. It's going to be total points of 58 points. I think you need a high-scoring game. You need this game to be high-scoring for the UFL to continue surviving. A 9-6 game is not going to be cool. No one's going to say, well, that's like Alabama and LSU. No, it's going to be like, that's lame. Bad football. And you can already tell it's bad football. UFL is now, in my mind, the ugly football league because the CFL is so much better to watch. It's just an easier product to watch. NFL, easy product to watch. College football, decent product to watch. Okay, CFL, good product to watch. UFL, hard to watch. Okay, so I don't cover the league anymore. It's too much, man. The fixing, the flow of the games, it's just hard to watch. DraftKings agrees with me. They have Battlehawks winning by 2.5 points. They think it'll be close. Battlehawks will win. Everyone thinks Battlehawks will win. I bet the money line on that for Battlehawks. DC Defender 2.5 point underdogs. I don't see any way DC's going to win that game. No one wants them to win that game. Okay, well, they did win in St. Louis, first half of the season. They did that on purpose, I think, to set the stage so it's less predictable, but it's going to happen. St. Louis is going to win this game, y'all. It's going to be over under 46.5. I got that going over. If it goes under, once again, if it goes under, I bet the UFL goes under. So it's going to go over, okay, for survival league purposes. All right, so next we get to the IFL. Crazy week of games, as always. IFL is always crazy, man. They are entertaining to watch. So tonight, Friday, June 6th at 8:05 p.m. Eastern, I'll have a split screen, so I'll be watching that in the Toronto game, I believe. We got the Iowa Barnstormers at the Green Bay Blizzard. Really, Iowa's 1-7, Green Bay 6-3. This should be a blowout. It should be Green Bay Blizzard blowing this team out, but that never happens. That never happens for these two teams. Iowa is like a wart. They're always hanging around. They're always fighting out. Statistically, they should get blown out of this game. Okay? They don't play any defense. They can't run the ball. They should get blown out. Green Bay Blizzard, Max Myler lights it up on offense. He has been killing it this year. Great year. I think that this will be a really close game if Iowa doesn't upset them. That would be crazy. Okay? I have this game going 51. I'm not going to call for an upset. I think that's so irregular to actually believe that's going to happen. But in IFL, that could happen. It's that wide open. Okay. So I have Green Bay Blizzard defending their home turf, wearing Cal jerseys. It's Dairy Night in Wisconsin. They're wearing Cal jerseys. They're going to win 51-47 over Iowa. Total points will be 98 points. It's going to be a crazy shootout. And DraftKings does not agree with me, but DraftKings, I don't think, understands the context of the IFL in this situation as much. So they have the Green Bay Blizzard winning by 13.5 points. It would be a blowout. I just don't see... Iowa's not going to get them blown out. They're good at hanging around, man. So they got Green Bay Blizzard favored by 13.5 points. Hence, Iowa's a 13.5 point underdog. The over-under is 94.5, so they expect a high scoring game. So we almost match and everything. I say 13.5 points. There's no way it's going to be that lopsided. I don't think. Now it might be. It might be a 70-point game, but I don't think so. Iowa's been good enough to hang around with everybody. I don't know why they'd stop hanging around with everybody against Green Bay. Okay. So if I'm betting on this game, which I'm not, but if I was, I would be taking Iowa and the points. 13.5 points is a lot of points. I think they'll keep it closer than that. I have them losing by 4. Okay, I have this game going over because I think it will be a shootout. Okay, I don't see a lot of defense being played in this game, y'all. Okay, Saturday, June 7th, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Arizona Rattlers, now 7-2 after losing to Vegas last week. Travel to Jacksonville Sharks. Okay. Tough game here because Jacksonville lost to Vegas. I don't really understand. I watched the game. How did they lose by so much? I don't know. It seems like they're just taking some weeks off, trying to rest up, I guess, or something. But I don't understand how they got to 7-2. It's hard for me not to understand. I mean, I usually understand these things pretty well. I don't understand. I know Jacksonville Sharks have been hit and miss. They lost to Massachusetts twice, including last time they played. Yikes. Okay. How's this game going down? Well, I think Arizona's going to win this game on the road in the Shark Tank, 50-44. It's going to be a crazy shootout. I think Jacksonville cannot keep up in a crazy shootout. They would rather have a ground-and-pound game and win there. If it's a crazy shootout, Arizona wins, which I believe is going to happen. 50-44. Arizona wins on the road. Total points will be 94 points. DraftKings mostly agrees with me. They have the Arizona Rattlers as a 1.5 point favorite. They have Jacksonville Sharks 1.5 point underdog. They have an over-under 86.5. I do think it's going to go over, and I would bet the Arizona Rattlers on the money line. I think Arizona's going to win the game. I just don't know by how much. And they really did make this a picking game by saying, hey, it's 1.5 points. You're not going to make any money off that with the point spread. But you will with the money line, and you will with the over. I think I'm going to go quite a bit over 86.5. Now, if Jacksonville rounds and pounds, they may win the game, and they might be a lower scoring game. Saturday, June 7th, 7:05 Eastern. So tomorrow, Massachusetts Pirates travel to the Fisher's Freight. Fisher's Freight have a 7-game losing streak. Massachusetts Pirates beat them once at Massachusetts. They've been playing up and down. They're a roller coaster team. Okay, it's up and down everywhere. If Fisher's Freight didn't win the last 7, I'll say they win this one. I don't think they can do it. I think they will put up a good fight. They've been putting up a good fight. I just don't see how they can win it. I don't foresee that happening unless Kenji Bahar throws a bunch of interceptions, which he's done at least once before. We threw 5 interceptions in a game. If that happens, Fisher's Freight will win the game. Fisher's Freight's going to play defense and ground and pound and try to keep the score down. Okay. I say Massachusetts wins this game on the road, 44-40, kind of getting themselves back into the Eastern Conference window. Okay. At 4 and 5, they're still not in it, but they're climbing back into it. If Jacksonville tanks, they could overtake them, especially with 2 wins against them. Okay, so I say Massachusetts wins on the road in Fishers 44-40. Total points will be 84 points. If I was betting on this game, I would take Massachusetts with the money line. It's an even game. They couldn't pick anyone, so they understand it could go either way. But I say Massachusetts wins the game. It's hard for me to find a way. I can't find a way for Fishers to win the game. And the over-under is 82.5. I say it goes over slightly. The best bet is money line Massachusetts. I just don't see how Fishers can win the game. Not with their situation on offense. Said I don't know who their quarterback is, bro. That's the situation. Is that the situation? That is the situation. You didn't say that earlier. I know. I just realized people wouldn't understand when I said the situation. Saturday, June 7th, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Daquan Neal is back for the Quad City Steamrollers. I think that makes them now the most dangerous team in the league. I have them as the number one team with Arizona losing last week. As the number one team in the IFL. So we'll see if they can defend that. They've played well with Daquan Neal's in there. They have only done poorly without him. Kind of similar to Arizona the past couple of years. When their starting quarterback is good, they're good. When the starting quarterback is out, they're bad. That's how Quad City feels to me. Daquan Neal, as far as I know, is going to be rolling. So we'll see how it goes. With that in mind, and they're going against San Antonio Gunslingers. Okay, so Quad City 7-2 gets San Antonio Gunslingers 3-6. Gunslingers can upset you at their house. They can beat you. Okay, they beat some teams they shouldn't have beat. That's how they got to 3-6. But they don't beat the teams that they should beat. I think this is going to be a game where you don't get lucky against Quad City Steamrollers. They're beatable. You can beat them, but you have to have a plan. And I think it's very tough to beat them when Daquan Neal's in there. He's accurate with the passing, and he understands you hit the crossing routes all night. He's not going to force balls downfield and throw interceptions. He's going to take off and run when he needs to. He's going to be able to run effectively. He's a good dual threat guy. So I think all signs point towards Quad City playing well in this game against San Antonio. It's not going to be a crazy crowd. The crowd's very sparse. That's not a diss, but it's not a crazy crowd. Quad City will win this game, in my mind, 43-34. San Antonio could knock them off. They get some turnovers sometimes. They do play well on defense recently. A couple times they've done that. So 3 times they've done that. So I say Quad City wins 43-34. Total points will be 77 points. DraftKings mostly agrees with me. They have Quad City as a 5.5 point favorite, with San Antonio being a 5.5 point underdog. They get the over and under set at 75.5. It's tough calling that. I do think Quad City wins the game. So if I was betting on this, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be picking Quad City Steamrollers on the money line. We probably make more money on San Antonio Gunslingers with the 5.5 points, but I just don't see it happening. If you take them on money line, you probably get more money than that. I just don't see it happening. I don't see a way that Daquan Neal and Steamrollers get beat by San Antonio. I can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I just don't see it, man. Okay. Over under 75.5. I say it's going to go slightly over. I got it going by 1.5 points. That'd be too. I wouldn't bet on that, but I would take Quad City in the money line. I think that's your best bet in the IFL. Do that game. Okay. More games. There's a lot more games here. So Saturday, June 7th, there's a lot of Saturday's games at 9:05 p.m. Eastern. Tulsa Oilers, who are 6-3, probably should have been 7-3. They travel to the Bay Area Panthers, who I believe right now they're 6-2, are playing the best football in the Western Conference. Okay, I do think Tulsa is an inconvenient team. When I think they're going to lose, they win. When I think they're going to win, they lose. They're a very inconvenient team, so I would normally expect Tulsa to come in here. I would expect them to lose, but I know that they tend to contradict me. So when I think they're going to do well, they do poorly. When I think they're going to do poorly, they do well. So I say they do pretty good. And I think they lose to Bay Area 44-49. I do think Bay Area is the best team in the West right now. I think Arizona will be the best later on, I believe. But I think right now Bay Area is the best team in the West. I think Tulsa Oilers lose this game 44-49. They will turn the ball over too many times. Probably one too many times. Total points will be 93. DraftKings agrees with me, but a little bit too much probably. So they have Bay Area Panthers win this game by 8.5 points. Okay, so yes, I think Bay Area's going to win. They think Bay Area's going to win. They think it's going to be a blowout. I just say every time I think Tulsa's going to get blown out, they don't. And when I think they're not getting a blowout, they always do. So DraftKings says Bay Area wins by 8.5 points, and Tulsa's 8.5 point underdog. Over-runner's 84.5. So going with my logic that Tulsa's a contradictory team, I would take Tulsa in the points, and I go over on this. Okay, I think it's going to be a shootout. Saturday, June 7th, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Nighthawks, 5-4 now after winning against Arizona last week. Travel to the Northern Arizona Wranglers trap game here. Trap game, Vegas tends to fall into the trap when he runs into trap games. They tend to be the better team sometimes, and they lose still. As a trap game last week for Arizona, it looked like. So, Vegas Nighthawks going to Northern Arizona. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's tough to go to Northern Arizona and win for whatever reason. Vegas Nighthawks are 5-4. Northern Arizona 1-8. I say in this one, Vegas is going to control the game on the ground. They have a better defense. I think Northern Arizona will turn the ball over at least once, probably twice. Vegas Nighthawks will win this game 41-31. Total points will be 72. I think it's not advantageous for Vegas to let this be a shootout. And I would say the same for Northern Arizona. Neither team wants to have this game be a shootout. They both want to ground and pound and control the pace of the game. One of them will win in that. So I think it's going to be an underscore 72 points. DraftKings mostly agrees. They say Vegas Nighthawks are 6.5 point favorites. Northern Arizona is 6.5 point underdogs. I would go with Vegas with the money line, not with the points. They're just too inconsistent. It's going to be a ground and pound game. I think it's going to go both ways. It'll be a low scoring game. I do think Northern Arizona is going to turn the ball over one too many times. That's why it's going to be 41-31 and not 6.5 points. They got the over under 84 points. I just don't see that being an advantage for anyone to be at high score in the game. I think both teams want to ground and pound. Saturday, June 7th, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. San Diego Strike Force, who are 5-4. They're fighting for a playoff spot with Vegas. We're getting down to the last third of the season. We're going to start fighting for battle spots. Battle Hawks. What? Stupid Battle Hawks get in my head. San Diego Strike Force. 5-4, they need a win to stay in the playoff race with Vegas, unless Vegas loses. So I think Vegas will win against Northern Arizona. They travel against the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 3-5. For a little while, Sugar Skulls showed some life. They showed they're turning it around a little bit with Billy back. But then last couple games, they kind of turned back the other way. I do think San Diego Strike Force have a really hard time finishing games against teams. So whether they're the better team or not the better team, doesn't matter. It's always going to be a shootout. It feels like San Diego's always going to have a shootout. Now they have won those more often than not. So I mean, I just think it's going to be I think every game of San Diego is going to be a shootout. Okay, I don't see them blow. They're not going to play good enough to blow anyone out. Is what I'm saying. That's why they'd be my number 4 team in the West right now, because that's what they're not good enough. They're not bad enough to not make the playoffs, but not good enough to really beat teams. But they can knock you off anytime. So I think with that in mind, they're better than Tucson. I have them winning on the road at Tucson, which is a tough place to play in the Boneyard, 38-36. Scoring total 74 points. DraftKings agrees with me, partially. They say San Diego Strike Force is a 2.5 point favorite. I have 2 point favorite. They have Tucson Sugar Skull 2.5 point underdog. This could be true, but I don't know. San Diego's they got upset by San Antonio, you know. They beat good teams. I can't tell what they're going to do. So I say the over-under score 83. I say you got to go with the Tucson Sugar Skulls in the points. Why? Because San Diego just isn't good enough to blow teams out. They don't put teams away. So I think they're going to leave the door open for Tucson and make it an interesting game down the stretch, which means the 2.5 points is probably a good pick. It might be a 1 point game, 2 point game. 38-36 is my prediction. I don't think either team, I think San Diego does benefit from making a high-scoring shootout. I think Tucson plays good enough defense and runs the ball enough, it'll avoid that. And their only bet to win this game is to make it a low-scoring, grounded-out game. So I think Tucson will win on that, especially at home. So I guess it's going under, and I got Tucson with the points. I do think San Diego's going to win the game, but not by 2.5 points. They could. Okay. All right, and the ELF. Now, there's no gambling on the ELF in the United States. I think there is in Europe, but who's watching in Europe? Hopefully everyone. Let's go. Das ist sehr gut. Meine Fans von Fußball Americano. America. I don't know. I'm working on my German. So, ELF, European League of Football. 3 games on Saturday. Berlin Thunder, who are 1-2, travel to Hamburg Sea Devils, who are 1-2. Both teams tough to read. tough to read. Berlin blew out the Cologne Centurions, but everyone's blown out Cologne Centurions. Hamburg Sea Devils have played really good at times and really bad at times. They do have Tagovailoa. I think that's a big advantage. Berlin, though, is one of those teams that, like Tulsa, they're conveniently contradictory. So when I think they're going to get blown out, they can't make it close. That's not happened at all this year. I guess I was lying. I think Berlin's going to win the game 36-18. Why? I don't know. Because they run the ball better. It's got to be the only reason. I don't really think they do. Because Hamburg's not going to run the ball better? I think that's the answer. That's got to be the answer. Berlin's going to run the ball better by default because Hamburg's not going to run the ball better. So if someone has to run the ball better, it's going to be Berlin. They win 26-18. Okay, Saturday, June 6th, the Battle of Austria. T-Roll Raiders are 2-1. Vienna Vikings are 3-0. The easy pick is to pick the Vienna Vikings winning this game. Probably like 50-34 or something. But I think T-Roll is in position to knock off the Vienna Vikings. I think that'll make this league crazy. I think Vienna Vikings are missing Kari Parjuranen. And it didn't hurt them last week against Ryan Fire because Ryan Fire couldn't make them pay for not having a great running game. They did let them throw the ball over their heads. I think T-Roll Raiders have had 2 weeks to figure out how to beat Vienna, and I think they will beat Vienna in the Battle of Austria. I think T-Roll Raiders win 40-34 over the Vienna Vikings, making this thing crazy because they both be 3-1, and now that Vienna Vikings are my number 1 team in the ELF. But I think they lose the T-Roll Raiders by a small amount, and that's going to make this crazy. Okay. Saturday, June 6th. Saturday still, Mount Madrid Bravos, 2-1 with Reed Sinet quarterback, travel to the Faribar and Throners. Faribar and Throners, I thought they were better than Prague. They were not, so I'll probably not pick Faribar the rest of the season. Madrid Bravos, not a great team. Reed Sinet, very mid quarterback at best. He's mid at best, even in the ELF, okay? But I say Faribar and Throners, I don't know when they're ever going to show up and really play football. I just don't know. Hungary's just not a football hotbed, apparently. So I got Madrid winning this game 31-9. Of course, Faribar could suddenly throw it together. And prove me wrong, Hungary's not good at football. I've never heard of a good Hungarian football player. Sorry. Sunday, June 8th. Prague Lions at Wrocław Panthers. I think Prague Lions are getting better every week. I think they showed me something last week against Faribar. They impressed me. Wrocław Panthers, though, are really a tier above the Prague Lions still. They're not a far and away playoff team, but they're not in the playoffs. They're going to be a contender. I think because of that, they do defeat the Prague Lions 38-20. But I was wrong about Prague last week. I just don't see them beating Wrocław. I don't think it's in Poland. It's not going to happen, okay? So I got Wrocław winning 38-20. It could be worse, but I think it would probably be about that. Sunday, June 8th, Paris Musketeers travel to the Rhine Fire. Okay, they played the first game of the year. It was 17-15, I think. Low-scoring game. Paris Musketeers have played good defense since then. Rhine Fire has struggled to get offense going. They've only scored 24 points in their first 2 games. 12 points a game. So I think Paris will win this game after Rhine Fire, 16-12. Although Rhine's first win is against Paris, I think Paris is finding themselves a little more than Rhine is. I think Paris wins on the road, getting Rhine Fire back from the first week, winning 16-12, knocking off the Rhine Fire, and putting Rhine Fire at 1-2, making them question themselves, with most of their playmakers being at the Nordic Storm. Notice Nordic Storm doesn't play this week. Okay, Sunday, June 8th, Cologne Centurions, probably the worst team in the league. They're 0-2 and look bad. Frankfurt Galaxy, 2-1, looking good. You got a big win last week against Madrid, I think. Okay, I don't know. But I think Frankfurt Galaxy is going to come with their offense much better, defense is much better. Cologne Centurions have been getting crushed by everyone. I think Frankfurt will let up. They'll get a big lead and they'll let up, and the Centurions will not be able to come back, which is why they'll let up. I think they win the game 32-7. I just don't see a reason to beat them 7-0, but they could. I think they could. Beat them 7-0. I don't see a reason why they will beat them 7-0. I don't think it's worth the injuries. It's not worth the injuries to do that. Okay, Sunday, June 8th, the last game in the ELF. Munich Ravens probably is the game of the week, honestly. Munich Ravens, other than Tilo Raiders and Vienna, this will probably be a battle for the best game this week. Munich Ravens, who are 2-0, travel to the Stuttgart Surge. I got Stuttgart Surge number 4 team in the league. I got Munich Ravens number 3 team in the league in the power rankings. Stuttgart Surge, when they're on, they play really good football. They got shut out by Paris, though, 6-0. What? So I say, okay, so Ravens are going to play great defense and come up short on offense. Stuttgart Surge is going to play great offense, and I don't know why they got shut out by Paris. I watched the game. I couldn't tell you. They didn't play exceptionally bad. They just didn't make any plays. So I say Stuart's going to win this game at home against Munich Ravens. Giving Ravens their first loss of the season. It's going to be 31-27. Why? Because I just don't see how they're going to blow out the Munich Ravens. The defense is too good, and Munich will try to control the speed of the game. I think the Ravens will fail to control the speed of the game. I think because they're trying to do so, they'll grind it out a little bit more and keep it fairly low scoring, which is an advantage for the Munich Ravens. So I say Stuttgart wins the game 31-27 for the final ELF game. So that's our thoughts. We did not talk about the NAL today because I don't know when they're going to play the playoff games, if they ever play. Maybe they cancel the rest of the season. Maybe they don't want to get afford to play it. Except for Omaha, so they win the league. Ding-ding. That's how they win. I don't know. Tyler, what do you think about our predictions? I think they're spot on. I think they're great. And we're doing a wonderful thing. Okay, so it's going to go really well. If you're betting on these games, good luck. You need it. Remember, gambling's bad. Kids and everyone else. Okay, all right. So, all right. If you want to read about some NFL stuff, check out footballanalysis1.com. That's really the purpose of Football Scientific. It isn't about the videos. It's about marketing. Footballanalysis1.com and the CFL News Hub, honestly. Check out my pregame article with Hamilton and Calgary on CFL News Hub. If you like the channel, subscribe. Boop. If you like the video, like it. Boop. It helps with the algorithm, gets more people to see what we're doing here. I think it's good stuff. If you like, we may add some thumbnails and stuff the next couple of weeks. We'll make it more exciting maybe, but not too exciting. It's a low budget show, man. It's a grinded out show. Like I said, this is really a commercial for Football Analysis One that comes to CFLNewsHub.com. So, formerly UFLNewsHub.com followers. So, we're really trying to get people to look at those websites. That's why I started this, and that's why I'm doing it. That's the real purpose of Football Scientific, but it is a fun way to go down the rabbit hole of analytics and predictions, and it's a good time, and I'm very good at predictions, so I like to keep making them. So, I think it keeps my mind fresh for football in the off season here. I'll always start OTAs next week, so that's how it goes. All right, have a great night. Enjoy some spring football. Football Scientific, the portal is now closed.